the flashing sword and the rising serpent. Yesod, Hod, and Netzach in the secret fire. This section examines the relationship between the Sephiroth of the Tree of Life to the secret fire, and the impact of two spheres in particular that govern the nervous system, early psychic awakening, and sexual power. The rising of psychic power from Malkuth affects not only the feet and perineum, but also triggers a response in the adrenals atop the kidneys. This is often accompanied by a surge of energy, as these glands are the seat of our fight or flight response. They are also secondary sexual organs, and as the energy drops down, to enter into the base of the spine, also a Malkuth center, before rising up the spinal cord and energizing the entire body, it stimulates those nerves and psychic clusters associated with Yesod and Netzach.
It is from this stimulation that images, fantasies, sexual potency and aggressiveness, and psychic awareness, sometimes bordering on schizophrenia and psychosis, are experienced. Intense heat and a sense of purging may also be experienced as a result. When the energy reaches the area of Hod, or Mercury, usually prior to Netzach, but not always, it is said to be following the path of the serpent. This path is illustrated by a serpent climbing the tree of life, reversing the direction of the descent of the lightning flash. Here, the secret fire awakens the mind to magical possibilities and structures, but without power. It may energize the brain and speed up patterns of thought, insight, and association, but often this may be vented through excessive talking and verbalization, or routing it through the throat center.
If the energy is not spent, but directed in its upward path of return, or ascent, then the very real problem of having to direct the will and consciousness in a singular fashion toward creating a pathway for the energy to flow is encountered. These pathways are the mental and astral constructs, or symbols, used in magical, religious, and esoteric rites. The principal pathway, or map used to direct the secret fire is the caduceus of Mercury. Here, the twin serpents intertwine themselves around the central pillar, and themselves form two side or supporting pillars, leading to a winged apex, or crown, shaped like a pine cone, or the pineal gland.
When it reaches this point, then crown, it bestows illumination, cosmic consciousness, and can be directed further towards greater spiritual activity, or toward material or psychic manifestation. This energy, or light, is like the rays of the sun, Tipereth, being split into the many rays of the spectrum, Netzach, by the use of optical filters, Hod. In Hod we not only create, but also clean any existing mental filter, so that the energy rising back towards its source may be properly identified and experienced for what it is, prior to its being harmonized into a single ray of light by Netzach. Even after harmonization, however, the energy may not have to be returned to the Tipereth. If left to its own devices, it probably will, as that is its natural inclination. The sudden influx of power and energy may create a strengthening of the recently vivified astral worlds, of which Netzach is the symbolic apex.
The death card which rules the path between Netzach and Teferi signifies the task of the initiate at this stage of the journey, and of the sacrifice that lies ahead. Only by losing their individuality, or through death, can the separate forces under the direction of Netzach combine to lead the initiate toward adepthood. The reverse of this is also true in one sense, in that by leaving the collective behind, the individual is born, the true individual of Teferith. This suggests that genuine initiation can only take place when we are no longer dependent upon the collective power of an egregore for our sense of protection, purpose, and illumination. The watery astral womb of Yetzirah must be left, for either the dry air of Malkuth's material life, or Teferith's spiritual renewal. Along with the intertwined serpents of the caduceus, we find implied in the symbolism the chakras, or psychic centers, upon which the secret fire acts in its journey. These centers express modes of consciousness,
loci of physical and psychic power, and are related in various ways to the nervous and endocrine systems as we have seen. In Western esotericism, several methods of expressing these psychic centers exist. There is the use of the planetary names, or mundane chakras as they are called, for the Sephiroth. Here, the planets follow the descent of Mesla, or divine energy, down the tree of life and are placed at corresponding locations on the human body. Kether, Hockman, and Bino are in the head. Chest, Gibera, and Diperath are in the upper chest and shoulders. Nitzsch, Hod, and Yesod in the hips and sexual organs, with Morkuth located at the feet. This works well as a mnemonic device and for the exercise known as the flashing sword and rising serpent, but is not very useful when it comes to attributing planetary powers to specific organs, as in alchemy.
Another set of attributes is to simply take the middle pillar and apply either its elemental correspondences as given by Regardie the True Art of Healing, or the more well-known planetary correspondences as he gives in his book The Middle Pillar. Along the same lines, it is not uncommon to apply the ascending set of Hindu tattvas, or elemental signs in an ascending manner at each of the crossbars and spheres on the central column of the Tree of Life. While none of the above sets of designating centers of psychic force is perfect, each works in its own particular area, and as such, it might be better to simply accept the symbols given for each exercise without trying to create a grand synthesis that will sound good, but be cumbersome or useless for practical purposes.
Looking at the ascent of energy from a more Western viewpoint, it is possible to view the psychic centers not as singular and specific organs, but in many instances as clusters of organs working in concert. Students of Eastern esoteric practices will recognize that the New Age system of 7 chakras neatly arranged with an ascending chromatic scale is not easily found in Yoga or Tantra. Instead, what is found is just as much contradiction and confusion as in modern synthetic Western esoteric systems. Whether one uses a system of 5, 6, or 7 psychic centers depends on which system is being practiced. The addition or subtraction of a particular center matters only in relations to the details of that particular practice and its aims. Thus, when viewing the psychic centers as objective realities, we enter into a realm fraught with danger. Instead, we need to look at the centers in terms of function in relationship to each other.